Hey everyone, I am Mana, and in this tutorial we look at a later paper named Weak HEAP Engineered by Stephen Edelkamp and other authors. This paper is based on the Weak HEAP short paper by Dutton and looks at amortized operations to improve expected and observed performances. In summary, we take a look at weak heaps and its properties. Weak heaps are variants of binary heaps and binomial heaps. Every key in the right subtree of a node is greater than the key stored in the node itself in weak heaps. Also, the root has no left subtree. And finally, nodes with less than 2 children are in last 2 levels of the tree. And if we want to say more, the only reason that someone might choose weak heaps over binary heaps is weak heaps perform less element comparisons in the worst case. In the array-based implementation, besides the element array created by breadth first search, an array of reverse bits are used to make every node's children in their correct place, because in weak heaps the left subtree of every node is not related to the node. And here, since all the children are in their correct locations, our reverse bits are all 0. In this presentation, first we look at the problem of a weak heap construction and then the problem of the elements insertion into a weak heap. Weak heap construction can be improved in several ways, such as instruction optimization, branch optimization, cache optimization, and move optimization. Also, insertion problem of standard weak heaps, the worst case of which is log n, can be improved using 2 ways: the repeated insertion and the worst case constant time insertion. We look at them in detail in the following slides. One of the construction improvement ways is the instruction optimization, in which we can accessing the distinguished ancestor faster. In the standard weak heap, the time complexity of distinguished ancestor is big O of log n. But if we remove the while loop and replace it with a couple of instructions that are executed in constant time, and so we will access the distinguished ancestor in order of 1 time. The next optimization is branch optimization. In this optimization, the authors try to remove the if statement in the join operation. The reason is that work done by a wrong branch is wasted if the if statement is false. Thus, we remove the if statement and replace it with arithmetic operations. By this optimization, the running time for small problem instances is improved. In cache optimization method, the nodes of a weak heap should be visited in depth first search order instead of breadth first search, because this helps to improve the locality of access. However, the number of comparisons remains unchanged. Although the cache optimized version is slower than the standard version, DFS is a better cache behavior. This move optimization is a different version of the previous optimization, that is the depth first search algorithm. This optimization helps to reduce the bound on the number of element moves from 3n to 2n by postponing swaps done during the shift down operation. However, it is worth mentioning the number of element comparison is unchanged. Now we want to see two insertion improvements methods of this article in detail. The first one is repeated insertion method. In standard weak heap, we insert an element E to the next array entry and do the shift up operation. This requires order of log n time. By constructing a weak heap using repeated insertions, the number of element comparisons stays constant while the execution time increased with n. Finally, it is proved that the total number of element comparisons using repeated insertion in an empty weak heap is at most 3.5n plus order of log bar 2n. Now I want to perform insertion operation by using a buffer. For this operation, we have a weak heap, an element array of weak heap that is split to two sections, a section of which is a buffer and a reverse bit array R. For example, here we have a weak heap of 7 elements which are from n equal to 0 to n equal to 6, and the buffer contains two elements of 3 and 15 from n prime equal to 7. The reason the size of buffer is just 2 is that the buffer is never larger than log 1 plus n prime. So n prime here is 7 and log 8 is 2. How to insert an element into this weak heap? First, we should insert it into the buffer. If it causes the buffer to exceed to its capacity, we do a bulk insertion. If not, and the new element is smaller than the minimum of the buffer, those two elements are swapped because always the smaller element must be in front of the array. For example, here we add 3 as an 8th element in the array, and as it is smaller than 15, we swap those two. Now let's see how bulk insertion performs. We have a weak heap and an array, and we want to insert 16 that exceeds the buffer capacity, and so we need to embed all the buffer elements that are 3 and 15 into the weak heap. We have two phases. In the first phase, we add the buffer elements to the weak heap. Then we start with the parents of the buffer elements and perform a shift down operation. After that, we consider the parents of the parents and repeat this operation till the number of nodes that we need to deal with is at most 2. For this reason, since at this point the number of nodes are 2, we don't do the shift down operation and go for the second phase. In the second phase, we find the distinguished ancestor of element 15 and 3, which are key elements 6, the root, and 12 respectively. Then we do a shift down operation. Here the shift down operation is done on element key 3 because it's smaller than its parent. After that, we start shift up operation as the distinguished ancestor of the key element 15 is smaller than the node itself. We do shift up for the key element 3, and finally we have our sorted weak heap with buffer elements. In conclusion, we saw that how construction and insertion improvement work on weak heaps. And the most important result is that with the bulk insertion, we have an amortized constant time insertion that helps us to improve the time complexity from the time complexity of weak heap insertion from log n to a constant time by using a buffer array. Thank you so much for watching my video. Hope you have a great time.